Okay, I would say we are zooming right along. All right, so let me see here. We are recording. So welcome, and I am going to sit. So this way you can only see my head. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I'm going to move it right here. Okay, so usually I have my canvas way up high, but this time I don't. So I'm going to keep the camera kind of low. Let me introduce myself to those of you who do not know who I am. I am Joan Turner of jonesartgallery.com, and I have been asked to do a series of artworks by the awesome Bethany Lovelace at DCOA, which is the Drake Council on Aging. And that place is like totally awesome. And we are waiting to get the okay to open that back up because I have been teaching art there year round, Wednesdays, noon to 2, and for like, I think we're going on 3 or 4 years now, plus a once a month like fun and paint, which is our version of wine and paint. There's no wine, can't bring wine into the center. So today we're going to do our own version of wine and paint. This is the promise. I don't know if you saw the last tutorial I did was a rock. I don't know if I had it here with me. And I showed this as a teaser, and I said everyone should look for it because I was going to do it. Today is the day, and I have been told that I have a sparkling personality, at least my hair does today, because my two cousins, 8 years old and 6-year-old, were here in the art studio today, and we were working with sparkles, and we had a sparkling good time. Of course, a couple of times they may have missed the canvas, but let me show you what we worked on. I don't think my little cousin will mind. It is a kind of a dotted mandala. So I helped her, and we made all different sized dots on here after we painted in certain colors. And then we had to redot again with like Mod Podge, which was kind of Sailor glue. And then we put all different color sparkles on. So the blue has blue sparkles. The green does have gold sparkles on it, but we put pink sparkles, red sparkles, green sparkles. We did it all. And like I said, some of it might have ended up on my head. But that's a picture she's determined to give her dad. And when her granddad saw it, he's like, well, I thought it was for me. Are you going to make one for me? And this and that. So this one took us a good 4 classes or 4 weeks to make. So I said to her, I said, let's get our other cousin to kind of join in. I said, and let's do one for Grandpa. And so she agreed. All right. So we're going to have another, the whole place here is covered with sparkles. I live in a townhouse, there's like 3 floors. So I try to leave all the sparkles in one floor here. But, they end up getting everywhere, including on your person. This is what we're going to do today. All right. So what you will need is a canvas. Now, this canvas happens to be, it's gray in color because it's actually going to be what I call a repurposed canvas, all right? So we had originally painted it gray for another project, which we're no longer going to use it for. And I don't just repurpose these. If I have, sometimes when I do wine and paints or fun and paints, I end up with 2 or 3 of the same pictures. So I keep the one that came out the best, and then I paint over the other one, and so that we don't waste any of our materials. So this is actually a repurposed canvas. It's going to have this dark background on there. Okay, so this picture, you could hold your canvas vertically if you wanted to. Vertically is up and down. I'm going to hold it horizontally, which is side to side, because this is a rectangular picture, side to side. Okay, so you will want to, those of you who have the paint packs from DCOA will already have this as a handout. But even if you don't, you could, take a still of this or something on that idea. Okay, you can certainly write to me. I will certainly email it to you as well. Jonissa, Jon as in Nancy, S as in Sam, a@comcast.net. Just say, hey, send me a picture of, we're going to call it the silhouette, just silhouette, because it's actually the silhouette of a tree in here, in front of a very colorful background, which I have been so excited about ever since I saw it. So I'm like so ready to do it. This, believe it or not, is not a very large roll of toilet paper. It is paper towel. Make sure that you not only have your canvas and your picture, your source document, paper towels nearby, okay? You will need a palette. If you don't have an artist palette, paper plates will do, plastic coated plates will do, plastic plates will do. Some people even use like old glass dishes and then they just wash them off and reuse them, okay? I like to just kind of throw them away after. So I do have an artist palette, but I just use these and throw them away, okay? You will also need some water, okay? And put your water in something different than the glass that you're drinking from, okay? You'll be so focused on what you're doing that if you put your water in a cup, you're most likely to pick it up and try and drink it. I am speaking from experience. So don't put your water that you're going to clean your brushes in the same type of a container where you are drinking from. And this is peach tea, even though I have been accused, very nicely, of having other things in here, but it's actually just really iced tea. See? Okay. All right, so the other things that you will need is brushes. Now, with brushes, the thing that I like to have at the ready is kind of a large brush for background, which maybe this one. This brush is an angled head brush. It comes up on this side. And I like these brushes because you can use them this way and get a lot of coverage, but you can also use the point, the details as well. Plus, I have a kind of round detailed brush here as well. So I like to have like a big, a medium, and kind of a small, but I like to have at least one detail brush here. Okay, even though this picture, you know, the only thing that we're really going to need it for is these kind of little limbs in there. Okay, we don't want those to be real thick. But this tree comes all the way over here. That's why it's a real good idea to get a handout here. And I say this in every single tutorial, not everything has to look like my picture, the picture that we're working from. It's actually better if it doesn't. I actually like them when they are your own. Okay, so I have a large square head. I am going to do a small kind of square head. And again, my detail brush, this one has a point on it, but I could go a little bit smaller, maybe. Let's see what we have here. I have a lot of brushes here. Sometimes you can have too many. Sometimes too many to choose from. Although, oh, look at that one. Cool. All right, we don't need that one. Let me see. All right. I'm singing away because, oh, look at that brush. I love using new brushes. Look at this one. I may have to use that one. I usually, when I paint, I listen to music. But I find that when I'm recording, doing these tutorials, the music in the background can be a little bit distracting. And actually, there's a fan drying one of the pictures. So maybe that's a distraction too. Let me take this off here, put it like this. So I am gonna go turn the fan off. You get your brushes together, okay, and your palette. Get your palette, make sure you have a canvas. The canvas that I'm using is a 16 by 20. You do not have to use a 16 by 20. You can use any size you want. Okay, is that better? Good. You can use any size canvas that you want. Again, I'm holding it horizontally rather than vertically. Okay. So brushes, palettes, water, paper towels, and of course, the paint. You will need acrylic paint. We're using acrylic paint. So again, those of you who have picked up those kind of party packs at DCOA will have at least some of these colors. All right, so you'll always have the primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. And from those 3 primary colors, you can make just about any color you want, except maybe white. All right, so we're going to use a cerulean blue, I think, because I really like that in there. So I'm going to try and get that close to that color. All right, I am using orange. It doesn't look too orange there, does it? Okay, orange and yellow. I am using violet and red. And if you do not have violet, which is purple, you can mix blue and red and make your own violet or purple, which is sometimes you get a nicer color, one closer that you want, because you can control it. You can control how purpley it is, how purpley red it is. You can make a magenta. So don't be afraid to mix your own colors. I have a Prussian blue and black. All right, now you don't have to have all these colors. Like I said, you can mix them. And I'm not really even sure I'm going to use the Prussian blue, maybe for some of the contrast in here. We'll see. Like I said, it's my first time doing it. But I've been so psyched. I am so ready. All right, I also have brown. I have raw umber, which is the darker of the browns. And last but certainly not least, I have white, which is kind of upside down because it's running out. So we put it upside down. So I have to sit here and shake it for 10 minutes. Right, this is Galleria, Winsor Newton Galleria, which is, can be a little bit, it's a kind of more high end, certainly, these kinds of paints. But the student works and so on and so forth, Premier and even Liquitex Basics, they're fine, you know, and you can use them right out of the tubes. All right, so if you end up with, a lot of artists like to create their own viscosity or make the paint as thin or as thick as they want to. So in those cases, they're buying tubes, buying in tubes, and they're really, really thick. And then you add water to them and create the thickness that you want. Okay, so I am at the ready. I have my chocolate here, which I will try to eat discreetly. Okay, well, if you hear me talking like this, you'll know my mouth is full of chocolate. Okay, or peach tea. Right. So the other thing, because I'm in such a sparkly mood today, I did take some blue sparkles, and of course you do not need to do this, and I put them on a plate, which after the paint is all in this background, I'm going to blow those on there and just, and that's not in this picture at all. And most of them will be covered anyway, but I would just like these little dabs of color. Okay, so you can do that for those of you who have the sparkles, because I know some of you have the craft kits, and I think there are sparkles in there. Bethany said she loved them. She is amazing. You will love Bethany. If you haven't already met her, you will love her. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is point the camera at the easel, and I will see you later, or you will see me. Let me see if I'm going to actually stand. I knocked all my paints on the floor. Let's do this. I'm going to go retrieve the paints that I dropped on the floor. Luckily, they were not open, and I have spilled them when they were open. So my art room floor looks as artistic as the pictures do. Okay, so the very first color we need is a very dark background, very dark brown. So this is actually looks like black with some blue in it over here. There's some very light blue clouds going on over here. I don't know how clear that is. Let's see. Okay, so the very first thing I am going to do is find my black paint, which is right here. Okay, now this background, we're gonna use a little bit of paint here. So I'm gonna put quite a bit of black paint out here, right? And I'm actually going to put, I'm looking at this handout still. Okay, here it is. I'm actually gonna put some blue in my black. And a lot of people are like, well, what do you do that for, Joan? Because I like it to have just a hint of color. Okay, and there is a hint of color back there. So I'm actually putting some blue down on here. And I probably put more than what I needed, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of white. Just a dab for right now, although I'm sure they'll end up needing more at some point. Okay, so let's take a closer look. We do have a little bit of red in this background, a little bit of red, a little bit of blue. Okay, and when we get down here to the water, we have a lot of different colors. But let's just do from the horizon line up. Okay, the horizon line is where the earth meets the sky, or vice versa. Okay, so we know it has some red in it, so we are going to have some red as well. Let me see, do my red. Oh, that's not an open red here. Let's get an open red. Neither one is open. Okay. I like it. Let's do this. Get your paints ready. Now, acrylic paints have a tendency to dry a little on the fast side. And if you're in a place where the air is a little bit dry, then it's going to dry even faster. Right, that being the case, you could mist your canvas first. The only reason that I don't advise it is because, especially, unless you're an experienced artist, what ends up happening is students get the canvas too wet, and then when they go to apply the paint, it doesn't come out right, and they're kind of anxious about it. So I'm going to say, don't do it. And if you do it, spray the back. Okay. Turn it around and spray the back. But again, only if you're in a really dry place. Okay, so let me see if I have here. And actually, do I want to put some yellow out also? Well, it can't hurt. Let's put a little bit of yellow out there as well. And I think this one is new also. So let's open her up and put some yellow. Okay, I didn't put a lot of yellow. And that's what we look like. So we have the 3 primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue, and then I have black and white. Okay, we also I will upload this to my YouTube channel, so you can share them with your friends, all kinds of things. These are totally free. Okay, I'm going to take this black, like so. I'm going to take most of it and put it over here. And I'm going to take a good amount of the blue and mix it in there. Because like I said, I like it to have a little bit of a, you know, it's always interesting to me when the light hits the canvas, it picks up a little bit of color. Sometimes I put red in the black and whatnot. It's always an amazing thing to me. Okay, so looking at this, all right, a little bit more than halfway. All right, so I'm going to give myself just a little bit of that's how far I'm going down my horizon line. Okay, so I'm using this big brush, okay, and I am doing nice smooth strokes. Okay, I'm going to come right here along my horizon line. All right, to get that line in, I am using this part of the brush like this, but to spread it, I am definitely flattening out the brush and putting on these big, strong, smooth strokes. Okay, so I'm really loading the brush here. Okay. And we want it on there nice and smooth. Okay, and my I have an easel from Michael's. I bought this one at Michael's. It has arms on it that you can raise if you're doing a vertical layout, or you can just spread the arms kind of like this, so that the canvas is really supported. Okay, so this canvas is using a great deal of paint. Okay, so I may need a little bit more. Okay, I also like to do my edges. And when you work the edges of the canvas, it gives you, when the picture is finished, you have an option about whether to frame or not frame. I think pictures kind of always look better when they're framed, as long as the frame complements the picture. However, what I'm finding is students, especially really young ones, can't always afford frames, certainly not really nice ones. So if you continue the subject matter onto the sides of the of your canvas, then you actually could display it without a frame. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that I'm picking up some of the blue here. As a matter of fact, I may be getting glare from the light. Let me go a little closer. Maybe not. Maybe I need to hold that up with this view. Okay, so you might be able to see some of the blue that's kind of getting put in there. Okay, let's see here. Right, so I'm going to go ahead, I believe, and actually give myself some more black, because this may be a little bit more blue than I had wanted. So I am going to put a little bit more black on my palette. And if you don't have enough black on your palette, go ahead and put it on there. And I'm sure that I'll have to use more for the waterline. But right now, again, because it has the paint has a tendency to really dry out quickly, I'm going to go ahead and use all of this first, and then I'll put more out when I need it. Okay, so my black paint is really, really, really thick. Okay, so if yours is really, really thick, you could dip just the edge of your brush into your water. Again, being careful not to get too much water on that brush, because acrylics are actually a water-based paint, and you can really thin them out too much. If you put too much water in them, they'll act like watercolors, which is fine, except you don't want them on a canvas. If you're going to do a watercolor, put it on watercolor paper. Okay, so now I have some decent coverage. I wish I could get this to lean forward a little bit more. Maybe I can, so that you're not getting so much glare. Now, watch it. Watch it fall on top of me. I was doing a demo, an art demo for 250 women at a church group, and I was doing a lighthouse and ocean scene, and time was very limited, and so I was just kind of really buzzing along, and at one point I'm doing this and I'm standing up and it's up high so everyone can kind of see it, and the Dumbola thing fell right on my head. And so because it was such a time thing, I just picked it up and kept on painting. Everyone just kind of chuckled a little bit. But for the next month or so, I had this cerulean blue spot on my head. And everyone kept saying to me, gee, I really like what you did to your hair. And I'm like, oh, thank you, thank you. Because I would try to explain it, but then it just got like, so eventually I just said, oh, thank you. So what I am doing here is putting a little bit of white on there. Let me put it right on the table. And again, I'm looking here. And this, I'm going to put some little tufts of blue and little tufts of red in there. And that means I would have to have blue on my palette again. Okay, so here's a little bit of blue, maybe. If I can get it out of there. So when your paints are running out, make a note and put it in your paint supply case, so that next time you go to the art store or you're ordering online, you can go ahead and you know exactly what you need. Okay, so I have some on my finger, so I'm just kind of putting it on there. Okay, now this canvas is no longer sitting on the easel because I really thought I could paint it without getting so much glare on it for you. Okay, so I wonder if I do it up this way and face down. Maybe, baby. Okay, so let's finish this pot first, and then I will try putting something underneath it. All right, so I am going to look at this again. I'm going to put some blue puffy stuff over here and red puffy stuff over there, which is kind of, they're clouds. They're definitely clouds. Okay, so I'm going to take some of my blue, like this, and lots of white here. Okay, and I'm going to put some puffy clouds here. Right now, the black is still pretty wet. Right, so we want it to kind of be a little bit tacky here. So we're going to just kind of rub this in here a little bit. And I'm going to puff some stuff over here. Again, don't worry if yours does not look exactly like mine. It does not have to at all. Okay, so I'm going to put some way up here and up off the canvas a little bit. So I have all of this. Oh, and I forgot to put my sparkles on, didn't I? Okay, I'm gonna, I just got paint on my computer. Let's see here what we can do to fix it. Tell I'm a pro at this. Ah, there's another connection under there that I didn't know was there. Maybe I needed to know. Okay, so while this is still wet, I'm going to take my sparkles and I'm just gonna blow. Okay, so I blew them all over my keyboard as well. Okay, so like I said, most of these are going to get covered anyway. But I thought it would be really, really cool to have a little bit of sparkle in the sky, and in a really, like I said, kind of sparkly mood here. So this was a good time to do it. Okay, so again, okay, let's get this. Let's get these blue clouds in here, and there's a lot of blue on the canvas, so I'm using just the tip to put in this little bit of white here, because it's blue on my brush, there's blue on the canvas. I'm going to bring it down about here. Don't come too far down because we're going to put violet or purple under there. Okay, over here I want to put this like that. So I really want to make them kind of puffy. Okay, so I'm very, very, very lightly smoothing out these clouds here with the idea that I am going to take my white and add some highlights, because I can. I'm actually going to dip in the blue, and I'm doing just a point here and putting this blue in. Now, what's happening here is the black is wet enough underneath it that the white is mixing in with the black. So it's kind of coming out like a bluish grayish color, which I'm going to go ahead and let it dry just a few minutes after I kind of prime it a little bit with this white. So I want to get some clouds going on over here. I'm going to, once again, kind of prime them with the white, and after it dries a little bit, then I'm going to go ahead and go back and put some blue in there, and we'll make it bluer. But for right now, let's just do some clouds, just formations. Okay, nice. Let's put some more puppies over here. Okay, let's let that dry out just a tad and see what happens. Okay, so while that's drying out, I'm gonna go get something to put underneath the camera and see if raising it doesn't help with the glare a little bit. Now, what's happened is usually, I can, if I record these during the day, then, we have the natural daylight, which kind of helps. But this is definitely evening. And so in my art room, I have a lot of very bright overhead lights. So I'm going to go ahead and raise the camera. And if I point the camera down, I have a feeling that might eliminate some of the glare. So let's go ahead and see if that's the case. I'm gonna make sure this sits on here properly. Is that better? It is better. Okay, I'm going to hold it a little bit closer to you so you can see some of that sparkle going on there. You can never have enough bling, I decided. So let's point this down even more. And I'm going to stand this up a little bit more. And sure enough, I think that's better. Okay, cool. All right, so when you're not using your brushes, put them in your bowls of water, because if the paint dries on them, and you bet your Bicky it will, okay, it'll ruin your brushes. So when you're not using them, put them in the water. And if you're going to use the same brush, which I am, just make sure that you get all the excess water out of it. But I would like to go ahead now and put some of this lighter side over here. So given what happened over here, I'm going to use just the white for now over here. Just again, I'm looking for cloud formation here. So I want a group of clouds here, right? And just dipping the corner of the brush in the white paint. And this kind of wants to come over and almost meet these other clouds here. So I want to go ahead and put in these puffs, and they do look like puffs of clouds. Okay, whoever did this did a really puffy job. And I'm definitely a puff person, so anything with a lot of swirls in it, lots of puffs. As a matter of fact, my family says I'm a girly girl, and that extends to my painting. As a matter of fact, my brother said to me, you couldn't do a mannish whatever thing. And I said, that is so not true. So I actually, and let me see, what year was it? I want to say, this is 2000, I want to say like 2016, 2015, I was approached and asked to do a book cover for a sci-fi kind of book. And so, of course, I said yes. And they were like, what can you do, like monsters and stuff? I said, of course I can do monsters. And I hadn't really done lots of monsters up until that point. But I knew, if I applied myself, I could do a monster or two or three. So, so I did monsters, and enjoyed them immensely, more than I thought I was going to. I'm like, oh my God, these are so cool. And so the authors would give me the description of the monsters. They would say, all right, this monster has, 5 eyes and so on and so forth, and all this and that. So I would come up with some ideas of monsters with all those eyes and send them to them. They would go yes or no, or put more eyes, or not that many eyes, Joan, or all that good stuff. So that was an experience for me, and I really, really enjoyed and had a really good time. I've learned a lot working with them, and working with other folks. When you're doing consignment work, right, one of the challenges to it is that usually whoever it is that has hired you has very specific ideas in their minds about what they're looking for. I'm creating in this picture there is a horizon line, so I'm actually creating that horizon line here. So I'm not going to go any further than that. So so I actually asked the authors, because I was teaching a class up at Chelmsford High School at that point in time. And so I asked the authors, after we were all set, to kind of come in, talk talk to the students and maybe bring some of their books so the students could kind of see, you know, and we could talk about the type of work and whatnot that went into creating that. So, so they did, and it was wonderful. They were wonderful, and they talked to the students, and they had some books there, and they even offered a special price to the students for the books. And I, of course, got some myself, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Okay, so I'm putting in lots of clouds here because this picture is made up mostly of clouds and colors, right? So again, the white is just kind of a primer for these colors. Now I'm looking at the cloud line, all right? So these clouds in here, and if you actually end up putting in too many clouds, you can always repair it with putting black in between. So don't be afraid to overcrowd your cloud. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna overcrowd my clouds. Okay, I'm gonna put them in here. And again, you know, I'm going to certainly rework them. I'm looking at the spaces in here, and these kind of come off over here, kind of come off the canvas on this side. So let's do that. And I have a lot of space here, but there really isn't a lot of space there. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of follow that idea. And we're going to come here. I'm going to leave just a little bit of my sparkling night in there. Okay, so now what I have is a lot of grayish, bluish clouds coming in over here. So again, we're going to let them sit for a few moments. Both a little. Okay. Okay, so while they're doing that, and I find that when I do these tutorials, some of the comments that I get is that, oh, you're moving too fast for us. We're students, we cannot move quite that fast. So what I say in response to that is this is a recording. This is a recorded tutorial. So stop the TV, stop the recording. This will go on DATV. It will also, I also share it with BATV. So DATV is a access cable station in Dracut. BATV is an access cable station in Billerica, which is my old stomping grounds. Plus, I do a lot of meditation and hypnosis type stuff. So I have another little side business called Intuitive Body and Soul, and we record that at BATV. So intuitivebodyandsoul.com. Check it out, kids. Okay, so let's let this dry for just a few seconds. And while that's happening, I'm going to have some peach tea. I'm also going to put some more white on my palette. And if you find that your palette is starting to look a little bit messy, you can always use another plate and whatnot. Okay, so like I said, even though I'm having to replenish my paint, I would rather do that than actually let it dry out too much. Okay, so I'm going to, this is pretty tacky here still. Let me put my peach tea over yonder. I'm going to clean my brush. Okay, it's been sitting in the water, so I'm going to take as much of the water out as I can. And I may need new paper towels here. Okay, so this is my, is that not awesome? Something very charismatic about a cloud. You can look at a cloud and see all kinds of things, you know, especially on a day, you know, you're sitting at the beach and there's a lot of clouds in the sky, and you look at them and you can see faces, you can see animals, you can see all kinds of things in the clouds. I'm going to take some Prussian blue, which is a little bit darker blue than my cerulean. Okay, I'm actually going to put it right beside my cerulean, and I put it right here. Okay, so I thought, let me pick up a little bit more of this white, and I'm just picking up the corner of my brush because I want to see what's going on here with this blue. Is it going to continue to blend into the black? Which it kind of looks like it is. So let's see if I pick up a little of this Prussian blue. What happens here? Well, that's not too shabby. Let's pick up a little bit more Prussian blue. Let's put it on here. Wow, very nice. Okay, I like it. Okay, now there's quite a bit of paint that's building up on my brush because it's blending in with the white and the black that's on there. So I'm going to continue to clean the brush, and then I'm just dipping the corner into the darker blue here. And I'm painting the moundy parts. Okay. Now, I don't know if that's a valid word or not, but you know what I mean. Okay, so these rounded, mounded parts are what I'm talking about. They're dipping in my white. Okay, so I'm really trying to get that blue to come on out and play. Okay, come on out and play, honey. There we go. There we have it. Okay, so we want some more up here, like this. Come out and play with me. And I think I told you that the radio, which I love to listen to music while I'm painting, is a little bit too noisy background, so you have to put up with my singing. Okay, so picking up the blue here, it's starting to look blue. Okay, let me see if I can get us closer. Can you see that? Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna keep working this blue here. And when that blue gets a little bit tacky, we'll add some white to it, and it will look awesome. Okay, so if you have violet and you want to use violet, go ahead. For those of you who do not, take your red and some blue and make some violet. Look how pretty that is. Wow. Okay, you can make a blue or violet by obviously adding blue. Okay, if you want it a little bit more red, you can add a little red. And once you add a little white to it, look what happens. Magic. Magic happens. Okay, so I'm going to take my purple and put it on here. Okay, very cool. Okay. I'm going to take some violets, okay, and add that in, which is a different shade than what I created. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, nice. Let's do it. Okay, so we want the kind of darker parts to be over here. Okay, kind of in shadow, if there's any shadow on this picture. I think mostly this picture is just kind of fun and an exercise in color, certainly. Look at that. Nice, nice. Okay, I'm coming this way. Oop, I went into the blue. Okay, so that's okay because remember that blue and red creates purple, and if you add white to it, it creates violet. Okay, so just take a little bit of red on my brush, add it to that blue, and I'll end up with violet. All right, so again, the darkest violet wants to be down here. Okay, and again, we're looking for a form here. Okay, so I want this cloud to come right down to my horizon line. I want this to come up here, like so. Going up into my blue a little bit, which is okay. Is A-okay with me? Okay, so now what I have on here is a very purple shape. Okay, I'm going to bring this up here a little bit. Right. So now I want to put in a little bit of black in between these clouds so you can kind of see the sky through them, right? Remember I said to you, if you're not really crazy about where you put your clouds, you can go ahead and add a little bit more sky there, and it's an easy fix. Okay, so here we go. So I find that students, when they have something that they don't like, they immediately panic and they go, oh my God, I ruined my picture. But that is so unlikely, because these acrylic paints are opaque. They're opaque like oils, but unlike oils, they dry really, really fast. So, so in fact, you know, if you do make a mistake, you can always just let it dry for a few seconds and paint right over it. Okay, so again, I'd like to kind of keep this side a little on the darker side, but I'm adding some white now. Again, I want to kind of define some clouds. Okay, and as they reach the light, and the light's going to be right in through here. It's like there's like a sun behind there. Okay, so I'm not taking a lot of white. Yeah, I want to put these clouds in. Someone said to me, you're a master cloud maker, which that's a lovely, lovely title. I'm not sure I quite deserve it. It might be more than I deserve. However, I do like clouds. And when you make clouds a lot, when actually, if you ever do anything a lot, then you actually can't help but get a little bit better at it. Okay, so purple clouds. Yeah. All right, and the same way I did with the black sky over here. If you don't have quite enough purple on there, add it in, add it in. You are the creator. Okay, so I am just, see the point on this chiseled brush? I'm just putting it, the point of that chiseled brush in there, and I'm actually just making little clouds, little big clouds, but they are groups of clouds. I'm going to smooth this out just a little bit, dipping in the white once again, because I want some clouds down here. With clouds and any kind of painting that you're going to do, it's always a good idea to work from the back forward, okay? So these, the brightest part of the clouds are going to go on last here. I've been very excited and waiting for a good time to do this picture, because most of the work that we do is very kind of realistic, for lack of a better word, kind of realistic, and it's nice to do something that's a little bit fanciful. Okay. So again, if my light source is going to be like right down here somewhere, then these clouds are going to be the brightest because they are nearest to the light source. And there's quite a few layers here. Again, do not fret or panic. If yours comes out a little bit different, it's supposed to, because you are a different person. And each person handles the brush a little bit differently. Some are going to be a little bit more heavy-handed with the paint than others. And that is totally, totally normal. And again, it's actually, I think the pictures are better when they reflect somewhat of the person who's doing the picture. When we do these fun and paints in person, I always like to guess. I'll talk for a few minutes with some of the attendees, and I'll think, okay, this person has a really active kind of imagination, or there's someone who has a very assertive nature. So I think, okay, they're going to make a really assertive picture. And sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm not. It's okay. But I can always, if someone has a really, they can look very petite and gentle, which I'm sure that they are, but then they'll make these really assertive, almost aggressive colors on their work, which is like always totally amazing to me. Okay, so I'm liking what I'm seeing here for these purple clouds. Oh, I'm sticking to my, okay. So, and I'm kind of, ideally, I would have maybe done the blue ones first, but I did separate them. And because they're a little tacky, I'm gonna let them dry even a little bit more. And I'm gonna go to the other side of the picture, which means cleaning the brush, unless you use a different brush, which is absolutely okay as well. And I see a spot, hold that thought. I see a spot up here that I'd like to put in. Let me see. I'm liking it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to take off some of the excess. And I'm going to lighten these clouds right back up. Okay, and there's an opportunity even later to go ahead and go back over these. So even though we don't want to redefine them at a later point, we certainly can add more white to them, which is highlight and definitely brings out some of the color. And I don't know if you can see this, there's hardly any sparkle left, but just a little hint of sparkle here and there, which is making me happy. I'm really liking it. Okay, so I am going to you can either use the same brush, certainly, or if you do use the same brush, make sure you clean the brush really good, because now we're going to go into these reds and yellows and orange colors, and we don't want purple and blue on our brush. So either get another brush or make sure this one is cleaned out really good. Okay, so now how do you know if your brush is cleaned out really good? It's after you swish it. If you do this to it and it still comes out blue, then your brush is not clean. All right, so I am gonna go ahead and put that brush in the water and choose a nice new brush. Okay, so if you do not have a nice new brush or a different brush that you can use, stop the recording, clean your brush really, really good, and then come back if it's nice and clean, and we are going to work on some of this red in here. Okay, so if you stopped it, that's fine. If you're back, that's fine too. I am ready. I am going to dip in my red. And again, I'm just using the tip of my brush because I want to put in this sky color. Okay, I want this to, oh, nice. Okay, so this is relatively dry because I am getting these in here. Okay, I'm put a little tiny bit right in the sky up here. And I'll show you close up what that looks like, because I'm not sure you can do justice from over there. Okay, so I did. I just dry brushed just a little bit right on my sky, and not on the prepped white over here. And just because I wanted to have some very loose clouds kind of going over here, just barely perceptible. Right over here. I like that. I'm going to have to do that with the blue on the other side now. Okay, so here we go. Dipping in the red. And on this, let's put in our clouds. Okay. Okay, and so on the part that I primed, I'm putting this in. I'm not going to go and touch the blue too much because, like I said, that I wish I could have worked first, but really it's taking sometimes paint, if it's from two different companies or whatnot, the consistency is a little bit different, which is fine. That's okay. We can handle it. Okay, so I'm putting in my red, okay, and it's going right here. Okay, so I want this whole area red in here. I am going to dip into my yellow without cleaning my brush and continue on down here. Don't forget to do your edges. Okay, so we're going into our yellow here. And this is a very goldy type yellow. I wanted it to be like super duper bright here. Okay, and I'm feeding right into my purple here. Okay, and I'm coming all the way down to my horizon line. Okay, and I will obviously redefine that horizon line, but for right now I want to get this awesome color in here. Gonna go right into the white and really brighten this area. Okay, especially where the sun's gonna be. Okay. Let's get some orange. Orange, orange, orange. I thought I took orange. Is that one of the ones I dropped? Okay. Okay, so actually, red and yellow absolutely make orange. So if you want to be lazy and use orange paint, or you can mix it right on your palette. Okay, let's put this here. Okay, so I'm picking up some of my orange, and the orange is going to mix in with this red a little bit here. And orange and red was a combination that I wasn't, way back when, I wasn't thinking, I was going to like that. And then one of my students did some roses. And her roses, she made them red, but she put this orange highlight on them. And I'm like, what are you putting over there? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, don't be sorry. It looks beauteous. And it was. So ever since then, I have been using it in my own works. And I have to tell you that the teacher can learn just as much from the students as the students can learn from the teacher. And in my case, sometimes more. Okay, so I'm bringing down some of this red into my orangey colors and through here. Okay, I think I want more red puffs up here. Okay, this paint's pretty wet actually. And I am going to pick up a little bit of black and put some black back in. Okay, so again, it's just a way to reshape if you think that you would like more sky in there, which is exactly what I'm thinking here. That I'd like to see more of the background sky. So fear not, you are the creator. I have a helper, her name is Christina, who comes to do the fun and paints with me. She helps out, and if people need more paint while we're kind of going along, she'll get them more paint, and we absolutely cannot do without her. She's an amazing young lady, and she tells me that when I say that you are the creator, she says, you say it with a vampire accent. So now I'm like, okay, I have to make sure I do my vampire accent for her, because I am sure she watches these videos. Okay, I'm going to put maybe some black in here, maybe. Doesn't mean I won't cover it up again, but that's okay. Okay, so let's do that. I am going to clean excess off of this brush because I want to kind of go back to the reds up here a little bit. So I'm liking the color work down here, and again, we're going to let it get a little tacky, but we start building on it, on it, on it. Okay, let's put this on here. I really kind of want to poof these a little bit. Poof, poof. She's a poofer. Okay, here we go. A little bit of poofy here, a little bit of poofy there. Let's put a little poofy here. Here a poof, there a poof. I know, sorry. Okay, liking those poofs. Take a little bit of white over here. Oh, the black is really good there. So we're going to give a little bit of highlight to this guy, a little bit. And I think we'll let that kind of dry out a bit more. In the meantime, let's go back to our yellow, 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 kiss a feather. Let's go here. Let's go into here. Okay. Nice. Let's bring our reds in here again. This is so much fun to just paint away. A little bit of black on my brush. What am I hitting? Oh, it's in my paint. Duh. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to bring a little bit of my orange down here, I think. Okay, and this is when that tip of the brush kind of comes in handy, because I can really dictate where that color is going to go. We want to be in control because we have a creator. Okay, there. Yellow down here. I want white out here. Okay, and we're really clouding these babies up. Lots of cool stuff going on down here. Okay, and we want it bright because again, that's kind of where the really sticky. Okay. Okay, so I am going to take off the excess paint off of my brush. And I'm going to start to just perfect some of these shapes a little bit. There we go. Because now I have them covered where I want them covered. So now we want them to make sure that they look like clouds here. Okay. Cool. And my whitest clouds are going to be here. Just kind of off center and to my left. My left. Okay. So around that, yellow. nice bright yellow. If any of you caught Susan Nealon's demo, if you haven't caught it, you can see it on Haverhill Art Association's website and their Facebook page. I believe it's on the Facebook page as well. So it's www.haverhillartsassociation.org. Okay, and you can see it. If you haven't caught hers, you should absolutely take a look. She does the whole demo in just 3 colors, just red, blue, and yellow, the whole thing. And I was with her there recording it, and it was an amazing thing. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see it, do yourself a solid and go check it on out. Okay, let's go. A little bit of orange in here. And I told you my student turned me on to orangey red clouds. That student is now in her 80s. She still takes lessons because of the pandemic and her advanced age. We do it virtually. And it's one of the funnest classes. And Christina, the young lady who helps me with the fun and paints, is her granddaughter. So she'll go to her grandma's house and she'll tape the recordings the same way I taped them for Susan Nealon, who once again is a member of the Greater Haverhill Arts Association. And again, if you haven't already seen it, which you may have because it is here, there, and everywhere, go to haverhillartsassociation.org, and you will see it. It's an amazing thing, which that woman can do with 3 colors. And she is also a teacher, very much in demand teacher. Her, even though she'll accept new students, she's putting them on a waiting list because she has 25 students on her waiting list. So, and she, her students win lots and lots and lots of awards. They're very, she's a great teacher. So if you have, especially young, I mean, I think she has adult students too, but I know her young students are always winning awards. And a lot of them go into art as a profession afterwards. So she's really, really good. I also teach. You can get in contact with me as well. And I, again, am Jonissa at Comcast.net. Certainly you can get a hold of me as well. So if you like to paint and you're not painting, shame on you. There's plenty of opportunities for you to get out there and paint. Paint your life away. So I am taking this and I am going to I need more yellow. Yellow, yellow, kiss a fellow. Okay, so I'm going to need more yellow. I'm putting a bunch of yellow out there because I put so much red on my picture. Now I need to blend in and make orange down here, which if you mix yellow and red, that's exactly what you will get is orange. Okay. So I am going to go back to my white because I definitely want this white in here. All right, and let's let's let that dry out just a little bit, because I do want a little bit more highlight here. But I'm thinking now we probably can go back to our blue. Let's smooth out just some of these strokes here. Nice when a picture comes together the way we want it to. Okay, just brushing out some of this strokes. So I'm going to leave that there for now, and I'm going to put this brush in the water, and I'm going to take the other brush, and I couldn't get all of the blue out. So see, there's always a method to my madness here. I'm kind of painting on an angle, so hope this you'll forgive me if I paint sideways. Plus, we don't know what peach tea. Don't forget, you can always pause the video or pause the recording wherever you're watching this from. Okay, so now I want to work on these blue clouds again, and they're pretty blue here. So I'm just going to dip the point of my brush in the white paint and create some cloud shapes in my blue. And the same way that the purple is kind of darker on this side, I'm going to kind of follow that same strategy, although the handout doesn't necessarily do that. But I can if I want to. Okay. So that, now we're getting somewhere with that blue. Okay, what I'm doing is taking excess water out of the brush, only because when I put this on, I think it went on a little too loose. Okay. Mucho better. If you're using oil paints, and we're not, we're using acrylics, but if you were to use oil paints, they're opaque as well, but they take a lot longer to dry. And what I'm finding is when we do the fun and paint and stuff like that, you would never be able to get the picture home if we did them in oils, or you would have a hard time getting them home, certainly. Okay, so with this brush, I am putting on some highlights on my clouds, and I'm so happy. They look so awesome. I'm actually going to switch to my smaller brush here. I took a smaller brush out. Okay. This one has a little bit of a point on it. It's also a softer brush, so that I can be a little bit more decisive about where I want these to go. A little bit more blending going on here. And this for oils is still, you can blend oil paints when they're wet, certainly, but the control level is different. It's a different thing altogether. Okay. Okay, and even see how this is turning blue here? So I'm still not, it's still not totally dry, which is okay. You don't mind. As a matter of fact, it's easy to kind of blend it when it's tacky. See how that works out? Isn't that awesome? Awesome, awesome. Now, this has, I'm going to dip into the blue, because this has quite a bit of blue in it. And when I was doing it, the blue was kind of mixing with the black a lot. So it didn't come out quite as blue as I wanted it to. So now I can go ahead and manipulate that a little bit more to my liking. Ah, now it's nice and a blue. So we can get some nice blue clouds in there. And again, because of the type of picture this is, which is not realistic, certainly, to get just the blue in here, we can have nice vivid colors, which is kind of cool. Okay, so this, I don't know if you can hear the brush on the canvas, and I'm really scumbling this in. Scumbling is a real artistic term. I'm going to put a little up here, I think. And I'm going to tip the point just a little bit. Okay, so just like in my star-studded sky, I'm going to put just a little bit of this in here, like so. So there's just there's hints of far away kinds of clouds going on here as well. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and these clouds are a little bit more. Oh, I have some sparkle on my brush. I love it. Okay, so these clouds are a little bit more poofy. Okay. So let's work that just a little bit in here. Remember what I said to you is that you can always you can go back and work some of these as long as you do it before you put any of the foreground on. You're always going to work from the back forward, all right? And that's one of the hardest things when I am doing a fun and paint with folks who, you know, a lot of people, you know, return to those classes, but a lot of people, it's their first time ever even picking up a paintbrush. So they actually do pretty amazing work for someone who's never picked up a paintbrush before. But I have to say, one of the hardest things it is for me to get them to do is like, you can rework and rework this background as much as you want, as long as you're still working the background. Like you're not going to the foreground, and once they get into the foreground, they're you know, they might try to go back and do something in the background. So whatever you have in the foreground, you're painting, trying to paint around it and in between branches and all kinds of things. And they run into all kinds of problems. So the trick here is like, you can work your background as much as your heart desires, but make sure your background is finished before you go into your foreground. Okay. So I'm taking a little bit of the darker blue here and just kind of playing with these a little bit. So we have a little bit darker blue going on here. It's kind of cool. So even my highlights have different shades in them. Okay, so let's put a little poof. A little poof here, a little poof there. Here a poof, there a poof. I told you it was going to happen. I told you I was going to sing. Okay, and the squeaking is my art table because I'm leaning on it. This table is a 8 by 4 foot table that was made for me by one of my brother's friends. I commissioned him to, I said, this is what I'm looking for, and he made it for me. And that was about 25 years ago. So if you are able to see any of the art table, you will see that it has lots and lots and lots of different colors on it, okay, where we have been painting for years and years. Okay. So what I'm noticing here is that there's so much bright white on these clouds and here, and not much here. And when I go accent these, I'm going to go with the orange, not necessarily the white. So I'm actually going to tone some of these down by using a little bit of the darker blue. Okay. So I'm going to tone these down. And actually, all it's really going to do here is just create more little kind of clouds, little bumps of clouds here and there, which is okay. We like that. Okay, so see how it's not quite so brilliant white in there? So I think that's what I want to do here. Again, this is my first time doing this picture, and it's such a free-spirited picture that I was like, oh, I am like so looking forward to this. So again, you know, background. This is, we're reworking the background a little bit here. And what I'm doing is taking out some of the really bright white highlights in here. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to the purple, only because we don't quite have it on this side. And I want to kind of keep things even, at least in that area. I'm going to take this up here. So this table, 25 years old. Oh, that looks mucho better, huh? And it's a little bit rickety, the table, at this point in time. It's a little bit rickety. But it's stood the test of time, for sure, for sure. Okay, putting some of the darker blue down here and moving into my red a little bit. And remember, when you blend red and blue, you're going to end up with some purple, which looks kind of cool in there. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to take the little ittiest bit of white and put it in here just to break up this area. And again, it's not a bright white. It's mushy, it's scumbling, it's being mushed into the blue that's on here. And I'm really liking that. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to put a little up here. Like so. Liking that. I'm going to take what will happen. I just put a little teensy bit up here. A little teensy bit. Not too shabby, not too shabby. I like it. Let's bring this part down a little bit. Let it touch the top of our purple. Just a little bit of continuity in there. A little darker in here. So we're always kind of, you know, for me, contrast. You know, students will say to me, what's wrong with my picture? Now let's say to them, the first word that should come to your mind when you are trying to figure out what is up with your picture is the word contrast, because there's usually either too much of it, and in most cases, not enough. Okay, so you can see the different layers of clouds because of the contrast, lights and darks. Okay. Right, I am going to switch back to the bigger brush because, again, I want to tone down. I mean, these are quite light in through here, but I'm going to tone them down a little, I think. And they are purple. So let's purple them. I have blue on my brush. I should just keep out a brush for each color. All right. Let's get a little bit more purple out. And the purple on this side of the picture really is kind of a lilac color. So, so we're not going to take too much of the white out. All right. And even though these have some highlight on them, these are actually more highlighted here because of the light source right here, okay? But see how this is darker here? I'm gonna blend a little bit more, I think. Okay, and again, now's the time to do it. Don't try and rework your background once you're working on your foreground. That is not the right time to do it. Okay, so now take this white. Okay, so I'm really making this very purple. Right, and you'll remember that when I was first putting it on, we had the black was still pretty wet, so we had a little bit of black going in there, which looked kind of cool. But now that we have all these other vivid colors on there, I'm thinking, rework it just a tad, just a tad, just a little bit. Okay, I like it. Okay, so now, okay, I do want it to look like lilac, like lilac-y colors. So I'm going to take my white, and especially along this side, I'm going to lighten it up. Okay, and as we get over to the right here, we want to keep it on the darker side. Okay. There we have it. That looks mucho better. Okay. All right, so now instead of a very purple, we have a lilac. Okay, this is more lilac-y. And then, of course, as we get over here, we get more into the purples. Okay, so now I can do what I did up here, which is add some of the white highlights in. Okay, and again, they're mostly going to be over here. I think I'm going to raise this up a little bit up here. Go right into my blue. There we go. Okay. Raising you up, baby. Okay. So now I'm going to take a little bit of the white, and again, I want to create layers of clouds somewhere up here. Okay. Can have your clouds, right? Close to it. Okay. Let's come down here. Let's come down here. Nice. Just that edge of the brush dipped into the white, and see how much, see how it really makes a difference. When I tell you I'm just dipping the edge, I am totally just dipping the edge. Okay, so I'm going to switch now to the smaller brush here. Okay. Just to even out some of this in here. Make sure it's dry. touching the tip to the white, just the tip. And put some here. All right, so this is a little bit more clouds towards here, and again, they're the whiter ones because they're closest to the light source. So we're going to go a little whiter here. Okay. And this one over here in front. Put this one there. Yeah, I'm going to put a little here and a little here. So I'm actually putting the white on and then just kind of blending it in afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to take my big brush now and just blend. And there's hardly any paint on this brush. So it's what we call dry brushing, when there isn't much paint, if any. Okay, sometimes I take a whole new brush that has nothing on it, and we just push the paint into the canvas. Okay. Okay, that looks awesome. Let's do another little one right here. Another little one right here. And there. I'm liking you. Okay, let's put kind of a big one right here. I'm going to blend it right into the paint that's there. Okay, I'm going to dip into the purple the slightest bit just to blend this area, so we won't end up with any hard lines of demarcation in there. Sometimes the sky has those lines in it, but this one does not. Okay. All right. Let me see. I'm going to stand back una momente, take a big look. Oh my word. I'm liking you. Okay. Now, I'm thinking, let's do some orange, okay, on these little guys here, okay, and if we still have black on there, oh, some of the black is still coming out there, okay, so let's do just these tops, just do the tops a little. Nice. So we're going to do the tops of these clouds and give them some highlight as well. Okay. Here. And I'm going to put red on top of here. Orange over here. Into a yellow. And then that orange a little bit. Ta-da! Okay, barely touching the canvas at this point and taking off excess paint. Let's put that on there. Beauteous. We are looking beauteous. Okay. Let's get bottoms in nice and red and the tops in nice and orange here. This is quite a sky. Okay. Look down here. Look here and here. Okay. And back to the orange. Up here. Nice. Oops, I got some of that red. It's okay. Maybe get that back on there. Let's overlap a little bit right here. Stand back for a second. Take a look. We are looking good. Okay, going back into yellow. Yellow, yellow, kissing pillow. Okay. So we end up with a kind of orangey color here, which is definitely what we want. Let's take that off. And if you haven't noticed, you're kind of drawing with the paintbrush here, drawing the clouds. Okay, I'm going to put our white area back in over here. You're drawing in the clouds. Whenever a student or a new student in particular wants to take art classes and they're like, what do you recommend? And I always recommend that you learn how to draw first, because that's what you're doing here. You're drawing with your paintbrushes. Okay, let's let this dry out a little bit too. So this yellowy white area in here, okay, let's keep it there. Okay. Is what's giving all the light to the clouds that are around it. And it just kind of fades off over here. Okay, so we're going to let that dry a teensy little bit, and then we'll come back and dry brush it just a little. Just a little. All right, let us work on this line. Okay, this horizon line is not just straight across. It has a few little ups and downs in it, right? So we're going to go ahead and put that in. So we look like we have an interesting horizon line. So the horizon line, of course, is already there. I'm just going to go over where I want it to end. And I'm going to put maybe some little dips and or valleys kind of in here. And again, it just makes for a more interesting line here. Okay. Let's go, let's make a little hill right here. And we're not looking for any detail here. We're just looking for a horizon line. Okay. So that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to stop it right there. And I'm going to put this brush in the water. Okay, and now we're going to start working on the water pot here. Okay, and there is some land down here as well. So we are going to end up with some blue in the water, and of course the light from the sky is going to be reflected in that water as well. Okay, so it might be a good idea to maybe put it in first. So let's get a brush and some peach tea. Okay, I might have to let that dry. Okay, we're gonna let that dry even though we want to play some more. Take a brush, a clean brush. Possible. Okay, this one I'm painting it and it's showing up purple, purple, purple. So let's try it in this. I have like 3 containers of water here. So I'm actually going to look at this for a second, and this is kind of off center and to my left. So I'm going to take a bunch of white here and put this in all the way down to here, because again, we are going to have a land mass there. Okay, so what I want to do here is pick up some of these colors that are in the water. Okay, I'm going to go up a little bit here so that I don't have such a big land mass there. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the red over here because that's where the red is. Okay. I'm going to pick up the orange here and yellow here. Okay, so we have all this cool stuff going on over here. Okay, so we have a layer here that we can work with. Okay, so I'm going to clean off my brush, and I'm going to give myself a whole new palette, and I'm going to put more white on that palette. Okay, I right now probably have enough reds, and we're going to use a little bit of blue and all of that good stuff, but we want to get this light stuff on there first. Okay, cleaning the brush again. So as you can see, you will go through lots and lots of paper towels. So make sure that you have paper towels at the ready. Also, what I neglected maybe to mention before is that acrylic paint, when it dries, it actually stains. So, you know, this is an art table. It's not a big deal if I get paint on it, and I have art clothes on, so it's not a big deal if I get paint on them. However, if you in fact if the paint is wet and you see it on your clothes and you kind of catch it, then you probably can wash it off with some soap and some warm water. But once that paint dries on anything, it really is quite permanent. Like the paint that is on these clothes, I've bleached these clothes several times, and the paint does not come out. Okay, so make sure you have paint clothes. If you don't make sure you have paint clothes, your entire wardrobe will end up being paint clothes. Okay, so what I want to do is let that dry a little bit. Dry a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to take some of the blue. Oh wait, let's do some more white here. What blue anyway? Let's get a clean brush. Let's put the white in here. Okay, and down here, I think. Right? Again, let's go with the red over here. Go with the orange over here. There we go. Okay, and I did not clean off my brush going from red to orange, because remember that the yellow and red is going to make orange as well. The red over here. Okay, so I'm really kind of blending this out a little bit. So let's take a little bit more white, get it over here. A little bit more white over here. Okay, and well, that is drying. Let me pick this up. All right, let's go back to our black. Okay, and if you need more black on your palette, add your black. Okay, and again, I'm going to add some blue to the black because this is actually just very dark water here. Okay, so I want it like here. I'm going to put just a dab of white there so I know where my water stops here. Okay, so we are going to bring this all the way up here. Okay, and this again over here is going to be land here. These sides, edges, I should say, edges. Okay, mixing the blue in with the black because I do want it to look somewhat like water, even though it's really dark, obviously. Okay. I'm going to pull this right into here. Okay. Okay, so I'm cleaning all of the excess paint off my brush and wiping towards my light. Okay, so from the left side of the canvas to the middle of the canvas, and then wiping the brush off between each one. Okay, so I'm looking for this effect in here. So now I'm going to take a little bit of red here. and work it right into my black. Okay, and you're going to find that this is a lot easier than the sky. Okay, because our sky had to be just right so that we could get a tree on there. Okay, so here, here. Okay, can you guys see? Oh, good. Just realized as I'm painting along, I'm like, uh-oh, can I see? Okay. Okay, so I really want these colors to fade into the light here. So I'm really drying off the brush. One of my students is, it takes a while, I think, to get the whole blending thing down pat. And she was, she was something that she struggled with, like most students. And when she finally got it, she was like, oh my God, I feel like a real artist now. And I said to her, you're definitely a real artist. You always were, but sometimes that blending is what gives people the most trying time, certainly. So just stay with it because it just takes a little practice. But it's like once something clicks in your head and you kind of get it, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It stays with you. Okay, so I'm going to go here. This. All right, so that actually looks good for that side, and we'll rework some of that highlight. Once again, this is again going to be my groundwork. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit. And I'm not going to worry too much about it at this point because I actually am going to make that kind of brown, I think. Okay. So there's land where this tree is. It kind of comes this way. Okay, so that's going to be my land right there. Okay, still plain over here. And I'm going to take a little bit of blue over here. And remember, when blue and yellow mix, they make green. So you might end up just a little bit of green over there. It's quite all right. Okay, so this, I want to come, where do I want to come? This blue is going to come down here. Okay, so I'm just looking like how far do I want that blue to extend? And I want it to extend to the end of my light, which is right here. Okay. Down here. We could use a little bit of blue. Okay, and remember that my groundwork is going to be right here. Okay. Okay, so I want to do my edges over here. And I can see I've got my purple. And I do have some purple here. So now, first time is in, put it on it. Okay, and I have extra purple on my brush. I am just using it, baby. Okay, black. Let's bring you up here. Okay, I'm going into my landmass again. All right, so I'm looking to have this blue feed into my water. And this is a very bluish, blackish. Okay, again, it has more blue in it than the sky does because the sky is black with a little bit of blue in it, and the water is blue with a lot of black in it. Okay, so that's how I made that decision. Right, so, into the light here, let's put a little bit of light right here. And I'm thinking I want that to be a little bit more blue. So this is a very vivid picture, certainly. Okay, so I'm going to take my white and this. And I want to drag it into my water. Land over here. Land that we love. Okay, let's go here. Do a little bit of blend work. Okay, I'm just trying to blend a little bit of blue into our water. Good, good. Going to take a little bit more of the blue. Okay, and again, you're really drawing with your brush here. Okay. So let's do that for a moment. Stand back for a second. Take a look. See what's going on with your picture. Okay, I'm going to dry brush. Okay, so if you need to stop and really dry out one of your brushes, absolutely do that. I'm dry brushing this area right here. Okay, and I'm doing that so that it evenly merges in with that black water. So blackish bluish, or bluish blackish in this case. Okay, and it builds up on the brush, so clean your brush off. So I want this to blend nicely here. Okay, I don't want to see a line where it kind of merges. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much down here where my land is going to be because we are going to work that baby. Okay, I'm going to take the blue, merge some more here. I'm trying not to make the table squeak, but I'm failing, aren't I? Okay, I'll try harder. Okay, so this blue, darkish bluish water here, we want to blend it. Don't want to see necessarily a line here. I want to blend into that blue. Okay, that looks pretty ding dang dong good to Mawa. Okay, we're still going to work the highlight. but I want to take some more blue here and add it to my black because, again, I'm looking for a bluish, blackish water. Okay, for the sky, I was looking for a dark sky with a little bit of blue in it. And as I said, this, we're looking for blue with black in it. So it's going to be mostly blue. Okay. All right, now looks pretty good there as well. Let's stand back for a second and just make sure a highlight is where it's supposed to be, because a lot of times when they're not, it really kind of throws the picture off. Okay, so I'm going to take and bring it in a little on this side here. Okay, dipping into the blue and bringing our water in. So the water was over here. We're taking it in a little bit. So we're actually just giving the highlight a little bit more shape. Okay, let's look again. Okay, good, good. Let's try a little bit more blue over here. Okay. And we're blending. We don't want to see a bunch of lines there. Cool. Cool beans, baby. Okay. Now, this little guy in here, let's straighten some of these out. Okay, and we want to blend into our blue. Okay, this whole highlight wants to blend, blend, blend. Yeah. Okay, I want to be careful here because I like that side already. Okay. Let's do this. Into a blue a little bit more over here maybe. Let's blend that out. Looking good, looking good. I'm going to pick up a little bit more orange here. Put it on here and up here. Okay, so now we're really working with our reflection, and we want to reflect the same colors that are up in the sky here. Okay, so, and we want to do it as if it is reflecting on the water. Okay, so let's do that. Good. Good. Okay, I'm going to take the yellow next and put it right here. Okay, and this yellow, I actually have the camera sitting on a huge spaghetti pot, and so far I've gotten paint on the camera, paint on the spaghetti pot. Then I wonder, why does everything have paint on it in my house? So if I ever forget, you can tell me. And I bring some of the yellow over here, like so. And some of it up here. And again, if it gets a little green, do not worry about it, baby. Okay. I actually would like a little light down here. So I'm dipping in the white, and I haven't really washed my brush, but I keep wiping off the excess here because I want, even though I want this to blend, I want it to really lighten up over here. Okay, that looks pretty, ding, ding, dong, good. Let's take this, which still has lots of paint on it. Okay, I'm gonna put some more orange down here. And don't play around with it too much. I mean, I'm really kind of playing around with it. If we were doing this live and in person, I would not. But because I know you can just stop the recording if you need to, I'm playing. Okay. So let's. All right. So without further ado, let's put in the highlight. Okay, because we have a highlight up here, which means that we have to have some highlight down here. Okay, we don't have to have a lot, but we have to have some. There has to be some reflection in there. What's going on? What's going on over there? Okay. So we have some white here. And let's leave that there because this looks really good there, and I don't want to putz around with it too much because we know I can. All right, so I'm thinking that I need a little bit more orange down here, maybe, baby. Maybe actually I do want orange there. Okay. So I'm replenishing my orange, but just a little bit because for the most part, I'm happy with the way that it looks. Okay, I just want a little bit more orange here and up here. All right, so I'm going to stop playing with them and make sure your brushes are in the water. And now we're going to do our land mass, okay, which is just comes up here and down here. All right, so move all my stuff. Okay, so for the bottom, I wanted to use brown and black. Okay, raw umber is a pretty dark brown. It's like the darkest brown that you probably have. Okay, so but I'm gonna put, I'm going to put some on my palette. Okay. So that's how much I put on there, and it kind of like squirted all out. And I'm actually going to take some black off of this palette and mix it with the brown on this palette. Okay, so what I end up with is a really dark brown. All right, so I'm gonna lift this slightly, right, because I want my land mass to come here and down this way and on the side. Okay, and let's come up here and here. Okay. Like I said, it's mostly brown, but it definitely has some black in it because we want it darker. Okay, and there's a little bit of a hilly thing going on here. Let's see if I can, there's a dry spot here. Okay, so we're gonna pick this up and do underneath there. And if you can do it without messing up your picture, fine. If not, like I said, stop the recording. And the only reason I say do it now is because if you wait and then you try to match the paint later, you may not be able to match the paint later And you'll be like, ugh. And then, of course, if some of it gets on this side, it's like, all right, now I have to fix that. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and do that bottom piece now. Okay. So I'm just going to rest it up there for a second and finish doing my land mass here. Okay, so the land mass, the tree is going to come up here. So we want that land to come this way, like this, up this way. It's a little bit of a incline right there. Okay. And I'm kind of liking that little bit of this light color going on here, kind of adding to the land. I like it. I'm going to put it in there. Like it out. And I have so much paint on my hands that I got the wrong color in here. But luckily, it's just black. Okay, land mass. Okay, here's my land mass. Okay, that's pretty easy right there. Okay, so again, standing back, taking a look, liking what she sees. Okay, except what's going on over here? Is this too much light over here? Let's take some of this light out of here. And actually, I'm going to use it to kind of build this land mass up. Because I like it. Okay. So where are you going? You're going to go right here, I think. All right, so let's build up a little bit here so this tree can kind of sit on there. This is a little bit too light. Okay, so let's bring this here. I'm going to take my brown and darken some of this area. Okay, and we definitely want it to look like a bank or something right here. So let's take care of that. All right, so how I'm going to take care of that. That's maybe a little too light. Okay, so I'm going to take some black, all right, and put it on my palette because not only are we going to use it to darken the land mass, we're probably going to use it for a tree as well. Okay, now when I say darken the land mass, I want to see a difference between the land and the water line here. So I am going to leave some of this color in here. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to darken this entire area here, but not so dark that we're wondering where our land went. Okay. All right, so this land mass is brown with a great deal of black in it. And because some of the lighter colors got in here, I actually like it. It's given the land a little bit more texture, which I'm liking. I'm liking it. As a matter of fact, I might have to put some of this back in here. Okay. And again, that's just the smallest little piece over there. Okay, let's do this. Bring our land up here. Stop moving on the table. Okay, so my land mass has quite a few peaks and valleys. So I am going to straighten it out just a tad here, but not much because I'm liking the smoother kind of idea here. Whenever you see something that you like enough that it inspires you, gee, I think I would like to do that, then the next question you should ask yourself is, gee, how can I make that even better? Because in your mind, in the way that you do things, there's always, there's always a few changes here and there that you can make to these pictures that makes it uniquely your own. Okay, so we're getting ready to put our tree on. So let's really look over here, because again, once this tree is on there, there will be no more futzing around with that background. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Okay, so these fun and paints, the typical time for them is 3 hours, right? We do them in 3-hour segments. So I started at about 8, it's almost 10 now. So we're kind of right on time here. Again, I wasn't overly concerned about how much time we spent because it's a recording. And that gives us quite a bit of versatility. So, I'm thinking about all of the pandemic and so on and so forth. And it definitely, a great cause for concern, especially among people who have underlying issues, older folks, okay? But I think at this point in time, unless you've been totally secluded and your family has been totally secluded with you, that is to say, they haven't come in contact with absolutely anyone else, that you probably have been exposed to it on some level, right? And the good part of that, and certainly I'm not a doctor, so I mean, you talk to your doctor, but to me, the good part of that is if you've had a little bit of exposure, you obviously had enough antibodies or, healthy enough to actually just kind of fight it off. So my take on it is if you haven't gotten sick yet, hopefully that means you're not going to. Okay, so let me put a little bit more red here. So I know that some of the students are coming back to class. About half my students are back in the classroom on a physical level, and again, some of the older students we're doing virtual classes. And the other thing is some of the students, one of them in particular, has this amazingly huge backyard. And so we're able to meet outside in her backyard at least most weeks, unless it's like really too hot or too cold, unless it's too hot or it's raining is what I'm trying to say. So we find ways. So my point is that, like I said, unless you've been totally secluded and anyone you have contact with has been totally secluded, you probably have had some exposure and were healthy enough to kind of fight it off. So you get to build up some antibodies. But the other kind of good thing is like even though this has been a serious and in a lot of, if you've lost people to the virus and so on, so it can really be a traumatic thing. In general, if you haven't, or you've had it and fought it off type of thing, I always like to think that everything has a flip side or kind of a positive side. so I can remember when all this was kind of going on, and I'm thinking, okay, so where's the flip side here? Where's the side that's, you know, giving us some benefit? We don't want to go through this for nothing. You know, there's got to be something going on there. So the ideas and the thoughts that came to me is that, you know, doing things virtually and so on and so forth, you can reach more people. You know, more people can get into the arts. I do some meditation. I am certified in hypnosis, and so I can do those online. So the flip side is, you know, being able to kind of reach more people. It's kind of cool. So barring, you know, any illnesses, and, you know, hopefully, you know, you and your family are fine and survive everything. So, and I actually had to have a procedure done in the hospital recently. It was something very minor, but the hospital is not the safest place to be right now, with all the germs and whatnot. So they did require that you have to have a test, a COVID test, before you can even go into the hospital. So I already knew that it would be a negative thing because I'm not sick. And I'm, you know, I know that you can, even if you're not sick, you could be a carrier. But no one around me has gotten sick either. So I was not surprised, and I was extremely happy that everything turned out negative. I was able to have my procedure and carry on and paint on. Okay, so hopefully you're doing well as well. Okay, so I'm ready to more paint on the camera. All right, let me see if I can get it up. Oh, it's still wet. And when it comes to, you know, going to your classes or doing anything outside, you know, stay within your comfort zone, because, you know, some people, like I said, have underlying issues and concerns, and your health comes first. So stay in your comfort zone, talk to your doctors, make sure you keep yourself safe. You know, cleaning, you know, in between our classes, I use disinfectant Clorox, disinfectant wipes to clean down the table, the bathrooms, okay? So you want to be as safe as possible. All right, I'm dipping in my black paint here, and I'm going to make a very thin line right about here. I'm going to come up this way, like this, and up here into my purple, and this way up here, and dip back in. And this is pretty, okay, so it's kind of difficult to see, but I think we can go up here and this way. Okay. So I am going to switch to a smaller brush, but I also want to give myself guidelines here, like where is my tree going, that little Dickens? It's going right across here, like this, almost all the way to the other side of my picture, okay? And let me see here. So it goes up here. It's a bunch of little ones over here. This is here. So I'm going to go ahead and thicken this a little bit. Okay. And there's another, there's a line that comes off of here. This actually crosses over here and comes up here as well. So again, this doesn't have to be, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing or what's on the picture or anything like that, okay? You definitely can do your own thing. I am going to begin to thicken the base of my tree. And students have a tendency to thicken their trees too much. Okay, so do it slowly, gently, and you can always add more bulk to your tree if you want to. But it's really difficult to get it off of there if you put too much on, especially on a picture like this. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a smaller brush, and I know I have this really facing me, so I'm actually going to try to make it face you. So I switched to a smaller brush, and I'm going to dip it into the water, and I'm going to try to bring out some of these smaller branches into here. And I know I'm leaning on the table, I apologize. Okay, so I think I need to go even more detailed here. So I have my detail brush, which is a very pointy brush, and I put it in the water and then into this black paint so that I can get some really smaller things going on here. Okay. Okay, if you're not comfortable with this, you could leave it out. You could leave the tree out altogether if you wanted to. However, I suggest that you don't leave the tree out because it makes the picture very interesting, but practice on a piece of paper. Okay, I'm going to bring one up here, one over here. This little guy, we're going to put another thing here. So I don't want to pick it up because last time I picked it up, I got colors. That's because my hands have paint on them. Duh. Okay, so I want to connect this here, this up here. I want to put these little tiny branches here. Okay, so when you're dragging the paint like this, it really runs out of paint kind of fast. So be gentle with yourself. And no matter how many times you have to dip, go ahead and be a dip. It's okay. We don't mind. Okay, so I am going to bring some of these out like this. Okay, cool. It's always the fun part, the finishing touches, always fun to do. Finishing touches on your picture. And these branches, there's a lot of little branches coming up over here, even crossing over. Some of them are close to each other. Some of them are pretty long, some of them are not. Okay, and again, we want to keep them kind of fluid. So I'm watering down this paint. So if you're doing this and your paint is not flowing easily, the way you see it flowing here, it means that it's too thick. Okay, so again, you can practice on a piece of paper first, but you need to make sure that paint is thin enough so that you have flow here. So it doesn't need to be thin while you're doing the trunk of the tree, but certainly needs to be thin while you're doing these very thin this very thin branch work that's coming out here. Okay, so I have some very watery type of branches. Okay, good. Fun, fun, fun. This is the fun, fun, fun part. Doing all these little twiggy things. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of little twiggy things down here. Let's make this a little thicker here. Again, it's easy to make them thicker than it is to thin them out. So if you're making them thicker, do it slowly, please. Okay. Some more branches there. We can have some more coming up here. Now, how much fun is that? How much fun is that? I think my tree already has more branches on it than one in the picture by far. Because some of us get carried away. Let me stand by. Oh, nice. My tree has a little bit of a, let's move out this way. Good, good. Okay. This little guy way out here. Let's make a little bit more interest. And now you can see why you can't really do anything to the background now. And that's why the background must be complete before you do anything here. Cool. Okay, so I think all this good stuff, although it would be really awesome to have something come up here. And even though this is not in the picture that we're using as a guide, it's in my picture. Because I thought it would be cool to have it there. Okay, I also think it would be cool to have one here. All right. So I can stop playing. I can control myself. Okay, so I'm going to connect these branches a little bit thicker into here. Let's bring you all the way up. This way. Okay, so what I'm looking at is some of these bare spots in here and trying to decide, you know, what looks okay and what does not. Okay. And remember that when you do your picture, yours is not going to look exactly like mine. Mine's not going to look exactly like the handout. And that is, to me, one of the goals of a picture. We want it to be unique. Okay. So here I'm going to move out here and here. Let's do this. Bring it out here. Because again, we have this big, long kind of branch here. So I need to break that up a little bit. Okay. Bring it here. Okay, then one here. And there, and right off of our canvas. Let's do one here. Here. This this way. And now it's always kind of important to step back, because when you're right on top of the picture, it's very difficult to get the whole picture when you're on top of it like that. Okay, so let's see, what else do you need? I think, okay, this is crossing over here, like this. Okay, go a little thicker there. Oh my gosh, this was such a fun picture to do. It really was. And I can't believe we did it in like, I don't know, like 2.5 hours, because that's those clouds in there really were like, oh my God, okay, that's my goal. Oh my word, I love it. Ta-da! Okay, this might have a little too much curve to it. Let's straighten it out a bit. Okay, we can do that like this and make this a little thicker into here. Okay, so again, you know, your tree, you know, it's gonna end up being a little bit thicker than you wanted it to be. So start out really, really thin. So by the time you get done making it nice and thick and moving around your canvas, it looks the way you want it to. Okay, this is going here. That looks thick enough there. Let's thicken this just a tad. Okay. Stand it back, stand it back. Oh my word. Ha! It is so much fun. I am going to, let me see, which brush do I want? Okay, I'm going to take this little baby brush and I'm going to put it in the white just a little bit, because I want to just give my tree a little bit of definition here, like on the land parts. But I don't want to change the color of the tree at all, because it's definitely a silhouette. A silhouette. Okay, let's do that. Let's put all the brushes where they belong. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this way so that you can see it. And this is the picture that we took it from, that we used to motivate us. Okay, and this is the finished piece. We are so going to call this finished. All right, so I am super happy with the way this came out, and I always enjoy my time together with you folks. And check out what's going on at Drake Council on Aging. You can get yourself onto the email list. They are still the staff is back in the building, although art and that kind of programming is not yet, but essential services are still there, Meals on Wheels and so on and so forth. And if you call them, you need anything, the staff will get back to you. They are a people first organization, right? So they will, if they can't help you, they'll hook you up with someone who can. All right, so jonesartgallery.com, intuitivebodyandsoul.com. Call me if you want me to email this picture to you or anything else. You have questions. I had one woman call me, and because she had questions about the paint, or how to mix a certain color. So do not be afraid to call me. I will answer your calls, my darlings. So Jonissa at Comcast.net. 978-807-7608 if you decide that you actually would like to talk to me. All right, so if you have any questions about the painting, or how we did certain things, anything at all, okay, don't hesitate to call. And like I said, the Drake Council on Aging, absolutely call them. They care about people. That's why I'm there, because they're good folks there. All right, and thank you, DATV, BATV. Tara is our techie at BATV, and she takes them and she makes me look good. Like, she'll soften the face and this and that. She tells me, put the camera up high. So she gives me all kinds of cool tips. So thank you, Tara. Mwah. I love you dearly, and can't wait to get back into the studio with you. Usually after we shoot the shows. Intuitive Body and Soul is a TV program where we interview people, and hopefully maybe we get Bethany. I'm going to try it. Anyway, call then, intuitivebodyandsoul.com, jonesartgallery.com. Bethany, I think she's B Loveless at draketma.org. Okay, but you can find her. You can find them. Debbie Lasora, Rosa Lasora is there. Noelle does exercises live on Facebook every Monday morning. So even though the center is not open for certain things, they are still very much with it and helping people, and have a lot to offer. Okay, so keep painting, kids. Let me hold it up again. Look at, I couldn't be happier if I were twins. I love it. Thank you, everyone. I am going to find the off button. So until next time, because I have 2 more tutorials I'm going to do. One is painting on a bottle, and the other one is a dotted mandala. Okay, so you will see them in the newsletter, the Drake Council on Aging. All right, and also I will put these up on YouTube, and so you'll be able to get a hold of them. If you can't get a hold of them, email me, call me, I'll hook you up. Okay, everyone have an awesome night. Bye-bye for now.